Welcome back, everyone. How's lunch? Good? All right, great. Who got the purple potatoes? Okay, good one. Why isn't anyone sitting over there? All right, let's get on with the show. So next up, Briana Marbury is the Executive Director of the Interledger Foundation. Briana is joining us remotely and will be discussing her mission to expand the public's understanding of the Interledger protocol. The Interledger protocol is an open payment standard, and it has immense potential to advance the financial inclusion for roughly 1/4 of the world's unbanked population.
Hello, everyone. My name is Briana Marbury, and I am the Executive Director of the Interledger Foundation. I wish I was there with you to see all of your smiling faces. Well, faces I assume are smiling since you all have on masks. In any case, I wish I was there with you, and hopefully I'll be able to see you next time. As the description for the session says, you probably already know about the Interledger protocol, but you may not be as familiar with the Interledger Foundation. And that's okay, because we've only been in existence for a little over a year now. And the official announcement of the foundation only went out about 6 months ago. So I'm here today to share a little with you about who we are and what we do. Before we jump in, I want to give a little bit of context to anyone who may not be as familiar with the Interledger protocol, a brief overview. The Interledger protocol is a currency-agnostic open payment system that allows you to send money from one place to another very quickly and fastly, almost like the internet. And actually, it was built off the same principles of the internet. Interledger, there you go. And so I believe Alex Lakatos, our tech lead, is going to go more in depth about the technical aspects of the Interledger protocol. And he has a session called Introduction to Interledger. You should check it out. So now we have a basic understanding of what the Interledger protocol is. What about the Interledger Foundation? Why are we needed? Well, for a couple of reasons. One, because the Interledger protocol is not tied to one company, currency, or blockchain. There needs to be a neutral place that holds the trademarks and patents. We also are the home of the standards. And besides all that fun stuff that has to do with the legal side, we have a programming arm of the foundation as well. And one of our programs, Grant for the Web, is all about web monetization. We are a small but mighty team at the Interledger Foundation, and we wholeheartedly believe in the Interledger protocol's ability to make payments on the web easier and accessible to all. And that's why we've made it our mission to promote and advocate for the technology as a catalyst for financial inclusion through utilizing the open payments and web monetization aspects of the technology. Today, my talk is going to be focused on open payments. And when I say open payments, I mean the ability to transfer money to anyone on any network, and not web monetization, because I heard that Stefan Thomas is in the building today and he's going to be giving a fireside chat. And since his company Coil is all about web monetization, I'm guessing that's what he's going to talk about today. So, open payments and financial inclusion. How are the two connected? Here's a couple of not so fun facts. 1/3 of the world is under or unbanked. That means 1.7 billion people around the world don't have access to digital financial services. To give you a concrete example of what that means, imagine you live in a place where having a bank account is not a given. And that means that you can't open an account because you might not have ID, or you don't have the minimum balance requirements that the bank says is needed to keep your bank account open. So, like every other person in the world, at some point you have to pay your bills. And you can't just jump online and, I jump online to pay my light bill. It takes me about 5 minutes. Well, you can't do that because you don't have a bank account. So you have to take the money from wherever you have it. And more than likely, you're going to be taking public transportation across town, stand in line and wait to pay your bill, make your way back across town, and by that time, half of your day is gone. a lot of people who are living with this same scenario are living at or below the poverty level. And so that time that they took to pay bills could have been spent making extra money, spending more hours at work if that's what they wanted to do, or just spending time with friends and family. I know that if I had a choice, I would not want to spend half of my day paying bills. I think it's a convenience that a lot of us take for granted every day. And so even though you don't have a bank account, there's one thing you probably do have. You probably have access to a mobile phone. In fact, 60% of the unbanked have mobile phone access. And you might be saying to yourself, well, there's lots of organizations or companies that have popped up to address this need. And that's true. There have been a lot of mobile money providers that have come in and filled that access gap. And that's great, but they are all closed networks. And the beauty of the Interledger protocol is that it's an open network that is interoperable. So say, for instance, you want to do business with a person that's over in another country, you could do that with the Interledger protocol, but not if you have one of these mobile money providers that's closed. In fact, for that population that the banks deemed, not big enough for them to service and offer financial services to, $12 trillion was spent last year in mobile money. $12 trillion. That's not a small amount if you ask me. So back to the closed networks. Imagine you wanted to do business with a person in another country, but you had this money mobile provider, which was not available to that person. So your options are money transmission. You could use a company like Western Union, but they're slow and have high fees. Depending on what country you're in, you can get them to send it faster, but that's even higher fees. And if you just so happen to have a bank account, you have ACH transfers, but they're no faster either. And again, the fees are high. Before coming to the Interledger Foundation, I worked in accounting and finance and worked for international organizations that had to send money overseas. It was always a pain. You had to absorb the high fees. It took a long time to get there, and sometimes the money got lost. So there were several times when I would receive phone calls from people asking where their money was. And there were several times people called me crying because they were in desperate need and needed their funds right away. The Interledger protocol can solve all of these issues because it's almost instant settlement with low fees. And personally, I have family in another country that sometimes I have to send funds to. And again, I have these same options, sending money through Western Union or through my bank account. And it's, again, always a pain, whether I'm doing it personally or for business. And this is not an issue that is unique to a few. It is it is popular with everybody. In fact, the United Nations released a report that said 200 million people worldwide sent money to 800 million people last year, just in 1 year. So in the United States, those remittance fees were $16 billion. $16 billion. Now imagine if they had an Interledger-enabled option to send their money, how much that those billions of dollars could mean for the economy of the person that they're sending it to, or even the individual themselves. It's just unfathomable to me. So why hasn't this been implemented yet? Well, when you're talking about bringing people together and getting them to agree on standards, it takes a while. And people get extra cautious when it comes down to money transmission. And there's lots of factors to be taken into consideration. And they're not so incentivized to update the infrastructure because it works for almost everybody, right? Well, a good example of when it did not work was when the US government was trying to send out stimulus checks. The only way for you to receive it electronically is if you had already done a transaction with the IRS through your bank account before. And if not, you received a paper check. So, what if you moved in that time? What if you changed your bank account? So, it took a lot of time for people who really needed the money most to be able to receive it. Another implementation hurdle is that not enough people know about the Interledger protocol. Someone once told me that Interledger is a diamond in the rough. And I agree. And so it's our job here at the foundation to make sure that we polish that diamond and make sure it shines for all to see. I think that's a little corny, but I honestly do believe that. Here at the Interledger Foundation, we have a vision that anyone in the world should have easy access to payments at a low cost with almost instant settlement, allowing them greater financial autonomy and freedom from predatory fees. If you would like to join us in our ambitious goal to make this reality, we would love to have you as a part of our community. Please connect with us at interledger.org, join our bi-weekly community calls, or contribute to continuing to build the infrastructure of the protocol. Reach out to us at info@interledger.org. Thank you so much for your time.